Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about RFIs. RFIs are a critical step in managing your project successfully. You need to make sure you know how to navigate them, make sure they're configured in the beginning so they're set up correctly, create them from RFI or from the drawing set, or create them without the drawing set. We'll talk about responding to them, closing them out, and just an overall management best practices at the end. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So first thing I want to make sure we do is we need to get in and just have some basic ways to understand how we navigate RFIs. So we're going to go ahead and log into our project, select Project Tools right at the top, and scroll down to RFIs right under Project Management. Remember, you can actually go ahead and star that if you want. If you're using these every single day, star it, make it part of your favorites, already part of mine, but let's go ahead and open it up. When you get inside of RFIs, first at the top left, you have your configuration settings, which I'll show you in just a moment. You have your items, current RFI items, and then could say RFIs too. And then you have your recycling bin. On the left-hand side, you have your company views. I'm not really showing that right now. At the end, I'll show you how to create and save those. So that will be great for you. You can minimize your views by clicking the little views button to the left of the search. Then you got current revisions, your RFI list right here. You got filters like status, contractor, assignee, ball and court. Bunch of different filters now in the updated modernized RFI list. So that's really helpful. You have a couple of different reports here, export to CSV, PDF, and then you have your reports. You can create a new report right there. And then you can create a new RFI right from here, but I actually recommend creating an RFI starting from the drawings. You do have your different lists here view. You can configure that and turn on and off columns by clicking on the configuration button, or if you want to, you can just hide them right here. You can always pin to the left, the number, things like that, and move it back and forth. I don't know why, honestly, this edit and view does not pin. I would think that that's something that should pin right there at the beginning, no matter what, or pin it over to the right. But this is what we got. Okay, so now before we get in, we really want to make sure we configure this, right? So we talked a little bit about navigating. Let's talk about configuring it. So I want to go here to the configuration gear, set this up at the very beginning of your project. Make sure you're good to go there. Click that gear. And not a whole lot that you got to configure in here, but a couple of different things to consider. So standard user from the admin, from any admin user or any person can act as RFI with the granular permission. But I actually recommend go ahead and assigning that RFI manager for the project. Depending how large your project is, you might need to have multiple RFI managers. So that's the only reason you wouldn't want to assign them right here. But if you have one person responsible for managing the RFIs, put them right here. Now that RFI manager is not necessarily the person that's going to answer every single RFI or process or create. It's just a person that's going to make sure that that RFI actually gets completed and all the way through. Then you want to go ahead and enable our private RFIs. We don't want to have them visible to everyone until they're out there in the world and the RFIs are answered. Some people have the philosophy of no RFI should be private. Like, let's find that information out before. I usually have it available, but then down here, I don't set it to private by default so that we add those RFIs and then they're seen unless there's something specific or sensitive in that RFI. So then here you have days to answer the RFIs. Look at your contract requirements. 3 is typical. Just leave it alone. That's fine. Mark RFI assignees required by default. I like to check that off. You can always uncheck it, but it's going to be required, especially if you have multiple people you're assigning it to. Everyone needs to answer. And then we have the show only official responses to standard users and read-only users. I like this checked because sometimes you might have a good back and forth between when the RFI is created and when it's answered. So only if you mark that response official, like for example, your design team might give you direction in that RFI. You don't want a subcontractor to think that that's the response. Now, extra fields, custom fields, get rid of this. Procore, just eliminate it. I don't know anyone that's still using it. We need to use custom fields and custom field sets for this. Maybe at the end here, I'll show like company level configuration of RFIs here as a bonus topic. So RFI prefixed, so you can put the stage number in there. I'm not going to enable this. It's pretty much enabled going forward, but like if you start using them, use the RFI number. So you might have like a pre-con. Well, let's just go ahead and enable it. So you can put a prefix based on stage, or you can turn it off. So that allows you to put these in based on what stage you're in. So some people have a pre-construction stage, some people have not. Now, distribution. Let's talk about default distribution. If anyone needs to be copied on this, so typically I recommend putting the design team on this. I typically recommend putting the client on this, maybe depending on who they are and what they want to know about. I also recommend, here's a key for you. When you set up a new project, you should go ahead and when you write a new commitment, you should add all subcontractors to this list. So when an RFI is distributed, it's gone in here. So enable, ball and court shift. If it's assigned to you, you don't need to do anything. It's going to automatically say it's going to go to the assignee. If it's closed, I actually don't want to send my manager. Well, I don't want to necessarily send the creator. Sure, we can send the creator. Distribution list is great. When it's created, yes, we want to put the manager here, but we don't necessarily want to include the assignee or the distribution group. That's excessive. They don't want to be part of that message. Like it could be created and maybe it shouldn't have. When a draft's created, definitely that RFI. Difference between here, draft, it's saved as draft and it's created. So I could see the argument, hey, you want to let everyone know, you want to let the subcontractors know that an RFI has been created. I'm okay with that. And you could leave assignee there. Due date's changed, just the assignee, manager, they probably are the one that's changed it. Reassigned, don't want it. Just the assignee and distribution group. Reopened, manager, yes. Assignee, yes. Distribution group, no. Response added, no. We need that distribution group on the closed. So I don't want to let the distribution group know every time this response is added. Assignee, maybe, maybe not. So at best case, this is kind of your setup. I would not add too much more. Like the distribution group, you got to think about when there's information flowing, what information is going to become information overload. So turning things off is helpful there. So let's go ahead. Let's just do a quick review here and update this. Okay, so that's good. You can go back to your RFI right here. And now we're back in the RFI list, and I'll show you some tricks here as well. While I'm at it, let me pause here and jump to the company level settings and take a look at that. Okay, so at the company level, under the company level tools, the only thing that we have inside of RFIs is there's no workflows or anything like that. There's no detailed configuration, but you do have a field set. You know how I talked about those custom fields? Like that's all you have is the ability to create custom fields, additional fields here. I don't know of any fields that I need by default, but we can start creating some fields as required, things like that. Just a reminder, company tools, admin, and then scroll down here to the individual tools and select RFIs. And then we're going to go create a field set for RFIs. You could have one for different projects. You can assign it to different templates for you, but we're going to edit this real quick and just walk through them. Cost code might be something you want to include or not include. Drawing number, same thing. Location, you may want to put it as required to have a location in there. We have another videos about projects location. Stage is something that you may want to have in there or not. That's up to you. Receipt from, I'd recommend turning that on. Responsible contractor, spec section if it applies. Subjob's important if you're using that subjob across your company. If you're not, go ahead and turn that off. But you'll see in here there's some default required. I do like having them decide on schedule impact. You can put that in there. There's also cost impact. Some organizations say, hey, let's not deal with cost impact until we get an answer. So they actually turn this off. But I like to at least put to be determined on that. So we'll save those changes and we'll save. Okay. So now let's go back to the project. So select your project, company tools, RFIs, and we're there. Now, moving on, I like to first show you how to create your RFIs right from the drawing. I think that that's the most effective way to do it. So let's go right there and check it out. So we're going to go project tools, jump into the drawings. Here's our drawing list. Let's look at like our reflected ceiling plan, for example. And you're going to do a detailed review of these, see what's you find, where the issue is. One thing I don't know here, like questions or note 7 here, what does that mean? It's basically leave openings between ceilings. Oh, so this one's at 9 feet. This one's at 11.6. So I don't quite know what finish they want at that instance. So I'm going to ask them, right? Confirm what, if you want to gypsum board drywall return there, you want to just create some kind of nice edge there. Is it simply the ceiling grid that just kind of flows off? Now, I don't know exactly what they want there in that return. Can we have a picture or an example or something? So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to create a quick box, or you could cloud it. You could do whatever you want. I'll just put a quick here. And then I'm going to create a link. So we can just hit link to RFI. We're going to create link to existing. So if I already made it, I can put that link to existing RFI. Or if we want, we can link to RFI, create new RFI. And then we have some basic information here. So we need a subject and a question, and it's going to pick an RFI. Those are the 3 required things. So my subject for this is going to be to clarify finish treatment between there. Now remember, like thinking about like an RFI, right? You need to think about what are the key aspects that we need to include in an RFI. So things you need to think about. You need to have that clear subject. You need to have a specific question. So let's go ahead and put a specific question there. I've prepped these, so and then their question. Now, what I like is I also like to include a potential resolution here, right? So I'm going to come in here and just put a suggested resolution. And if they don't like that, we can do something different. I can't bold it or anything like that. So it doesn't let me do that. So let's go ahead and create a draft. That draft is created. I can come in there and edit it right away, but I want to make sure I publish that. So my best practice is to publish these right away. I want to publish them as soon as they're created so that if someone comes in here, they know that a question's been asked, they can see the issue. So we're going to publish that. While I'm here, I could actually go ahead and create these other lips and like put it where each instance is. And then we should have that draft. This is always kind of a little issue. I can't find the draft until it has a number. Procore. So we'll do that later as we close it out, as we get it set up. So I'm just going to delete that one for now. This one's published. This one's good. So then I'm going to go ahead and click open this draft and go right to there. That takes me right inside that draft to keep working on it and provide more detail. Now, draft RFI. I could also come in here and select create. And this will give me that same information. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. We're going to go into this RFI that's under draft, select edit, and we're going to provide some of the details. So that's good. Let's go ahead, do a little bit of cleanup here on the question. Now, under the attachments, if I have pictures of that condition in the field, like where the two pieces of ceiling come together, take that and attach it. If you're using your mobile device, you can actually take the pictures and create the RFI. Like creating an RFI in the field is super easy. We'll probably have to create another video for that. And then we're going to come here and add some assignees. So let's go ahead. RFI number 2, the due date automatically by 3, RFI manager. I'm going to say received from Benson Boone. That's coatings. Let's see if we got ceilings somewhere. I don't think I have a ceiling guy. We'll just do Matchbox. So then we're going to assign it. I'm going to use that example architect I have in my list. Right there. Distribution list. Anyone that needs to be copied on it. I have it set as required. You can change whether or not it's required. So we'll just put an example subcontractor in that distribution list. Responsible contractor, automatically who it received from. It's there. If there's a spec that it references, you can put that spec in. So general requirements. I probably have a ceiling spec in here somewhere. Gypsum board or acoustic tile ceiling. So either one of there. Location, you can pick a location. I can pick the entire project, or I could come in here into like building 4. I think that's actually, what building was that? I should know this better. Five, 6, that's what I thought. And we'll just find out what hallway. It's a hallway in here. So 5, 6. Okay, drawing number, we can say it's A1.2. That's just a type field. Why it's in there? Like I linked it here. So that's up to you if you really want to. If you always create your links, you don't really need this drawing field. You can turn it off. Subjob, we don't have any subjobs, so we could probably deactivate for this. Cost code doesn't really apply. You could choose like ceiling. I don't know if I have a ceiling cost code. Yep, I have a ceilings in there. I could put that in there. Schedule impact, to be determined. So that's definitely yes, unknown, because we don't know the answer. Reference is a great way to put any additional reference information. Think of it as like a free form field right there. Now, we get notified here of this response. So reference and private, you could put it as private. I don't really recommend it. If you're not ready to share it yet, go ahead and save this as a draft. I need to think about it. It needs to be reviewed. If you're going to do an internal review before it gets sent over to the design team, and maybe you have a project engineer or someone newer to the team, just save it there. And then you can always return it to the creator's court, get some information there. You could even start adding responses internally if you needed to answer those questions. If you're ready to ask the design team of this, you're going to go ahead and come back in here. Let me just jump out and show you that. So you come back in here, you go ahead and hit view, and you open that RFI up. And so then that's assigned. There's someone that's required to respond. Actually, one thing I didn't show you is if I edit this, you can come in and add multiple people. And then you check this little box here. So you can make that person optional so that they can respond or not. So let's just cancel that change. It's required. They need to respond. Now, I need to go in and talk to you about how are we going to respond to this. So we should have received a lovely email in our Procore email that says, hey, I assigned you something. You have an open RFI in your ball and court. Great. Love it. Action is required. By the way, Procore, good job. You're making these look a little bit nicer. Here's a quick video you can view in Procore. I was going to say the cheapest and easiest way to just respond is right here. And they can just, you can just reply and hit send. Now it does take a second, so let's see how long it takes. If I refresh this, I should have a response. So there's their response right there, comes in. If it's quick and easy way to do it, great, that works right in there. The design team can also come in here and they can say view in Procore. That's going to open up a Procore tab that they could add a response right here, hit plus, add that response, add the same detail, and then upload anything. So what's also interesting is if you do upload anything to that response, it will upload it here as well. So if you have any like sketches or anything like that, like responding via email is just a simple way to do it. So simple, easy peasy. Just respond. If people say, I can't get into Procore, just respond via email. Like it's no different than sending out an email. So that's there. So that's how you would respond. So those are easy ways to work it. If I'm in here, right, I can come in back in and underneath my profile and add my own response as well. So I could come in and maybe provide some more detail, right? And give instruction. So we could paste something like that. Main exposed surfaces, give them some more detail, no separate profile unless field condition requires a protective edge. So we'll just add that as the instruction. And then let's talk about closing this out. So I'm going to go here. Here's my next step is like, how do we close this, right? So we got our responses. We got notified. I just heard a ping that I was notified of this response. We can look at our list, see where things are at. Response is open. It's this ball in court, assignees. So due date, some basic information. We'll go ahead and open this up. We can then choose a response to mark as official. So we can choose that. We could choose multiple. I don't really like choosing multiple. I like to give my instruction in that. Like, what do I want to explicitly do? They can see the details there and then go that. Then you just go ahead and close it. And there's the request, suggested resolution. RFI is marked as closed with the official response. If I was a subcontractor, let me pause here and log in as a subcontractor and show you exactly what I see. Okay, so here's a subcontractor logged in, my example subcontractor up at the top here. You'll notice I don't have the editability. I didn't give that ability to them. They're standard. So all they can do is hit view. If you remember, oh, in this case, I do have the ability to see both response and official response. I guess that my permissions aren't quite set up correctly there. But you could make it so they could only see that official response. So, okay, so I went back and actually checked. Like, I don't think they should be able to see this. Their responses, the settings for RFIs doesn't let them do that. They should only be able to see official responses. So that might be a little glitch or a little bug with the new RFI experience. I don't think they should be able to create a revision either. They can't mark this as official or anything like that. So they can set the question and select the RFI manager. But they can send for review. So that's what a standard member can do. They can't actually manage it and set it as open, but that is possible. That is the setting that anyone create it. So yeah, I don't understand why they can see that other version. So that's a little odd to me. So anyway, let's talk and finish up with kind of overall managing of the RFIs and RFI strategy there. So one thing I would recommend that you do really quickly with these RFIs when you're managing them is I'm going to go back to those project drawings and let's do a quick refresh to see that item. There's the RFI number 2. Like you can click on here and see it, see the official response. I would go in and just mark where that condition happens everywhere else. So I'm going to go put it here, link, RFI, link to existing 2, and put that there. And then publish that. And then here as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you link them all together at the same time. But you can kind of put it right there. That's what I would do to just not overwhelm your sheets. So did I publish that one? I did not. So we'll publish that. Publishing it makes it available to everyone on the project team. So that's really it for RFIs. One last little trick here. I'm going to show you how to create some of these views, get it exactly how you want. And we're going to create a view here. So all you got to do is kind of get this set up how you want to see it. So I'm like here, go ahead here, drag this open for a little bit, maybe. Responsible contractor, I'm actually going to hide that date initiated. Hide that. Maybe I shouldn't. RFI manager, it's always going to be me. I don't care. Assignee, I'll leave that. Actually, I'm going to hide that. I care about ball and court and due date. I'm going to add initiated back in. Put that there. So I want to put ball and court, date initiated, date closed. Make these as small as possible. Status can be a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. Here for my summary list, I don't really care about the location, so I'm going to hide that. We'll hide the cost code for right now. Sub job, unless I have sub jobs, I'm going to hide that. Hide the RFI. Don't care about the distribution list. Private, maybe. Don't really care who created it. So we're going to hide that. Remember, I can always create a view that's like everything on. So I'll do that here in a second and show you that. So I probably should have saved that as first one. So we'll make this a little smaller. I think that's as small as we can get. Yeah, it'd be great, Procore, if I could make these slightly smaller. Don't need that. So now we're going to go ahead and hit create. So we're going to call this simplified or something like that. And then I'm going to save this as a company view or a project view or a personal view. So let's talk about these. Save it to everyone. It's out there in the world, available for everyone to use. Only admins at Procore can actually do this. And you have the project view, and then you have a personal view. So at least make it a project view. I'm going to make this a company view here right now. We're going to go ahead and create it. So now it's up there. It's saved. It's good to go. I can come back and edit. I can delete it. I'm going to go ahead and turn everything back on. Okay. Now I could just click update on this view, but I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call this complete view. Let's actually call it complete RFI list. And then we'll call this a company view and hit create. And there's that complete RFI list. And there's that other one. So you can just kind of switch through them. And now you'll notice if I just jump through here, back and forth. And those are saved for the company level right there. Here's where I can copy that shared link to a clipboard, share that list for someone. Now, you do have reports here, right? But you can probably come in here, and for the most case, if you need to create a report for someone, just send them this link. Let's not create a bunch of exports and reports and all the time. Just if you have a pre-filtered, like I could come in here and filter this by status. So let's do that real quick. Open and draft. So that's that list. And I'm on the simplified list. Could even come in here and put like overdue as an item if you wanted to as well, or cost codes or sub jobs. You can, they don't have grouping yet by sub jobs. Hopefully they'll have that in the future, but let's just do an open RFI list. So we're going to hit save, call this open RFIs, and I'll save that to a company view. So now I have open RFIs, maybe give a number in between them, but there's my open RFI list. So I can have a complete view, everything, open RFIs. So use these, create these as lists. That's a little tip for you as you go. You don't want to see the views, just go back here, but like these are so much easier than going through your filters every single time. You could even create your own personal view, like if you go to filter and do ball and court and select yourself and then save that as a view. My RFIs, I would do that same thing for submittals and things like that. So now that's a personal view. Create that on every project, all right? So go to open RFIs and go to submittal or open RFIs and then filter it for yourself. And then you got my open items. So pretty cool way to use your save views. Hopefully this gives a pretty good quick explanation of how to use RFIs. Here is that process. Remember, learn how to navigate it. Before you get started, go ahead and configure it. Best practice, create them from the drawings if you can. If they relate to the plans, put them right there from the very beginning. If you're not, you can create them right from the tool. You can also create them right from mobile. I didn't show that, but it's available for you. Assigning them, make sure you assign them and mark the person as required, as responsible. Ways to respond, right? You can easily respond via email. You can respond via your mobile app, or you can open it up on the web app and respond right there. Then make sure you close it out effectively and make sure you manage it and keep it all up to date. When you're closing it, mark that response as official. Make sure you designate which is official. Don't know why Procore is not hiding it from the others. But anyway, so keeping consistent date up information in your RFIs will keep your information up to date, lower your risk for your project, get your project going quickly and effectively. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.